This is Jamey with Stonemeyer Games, and I'm here today to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Sherlock 13. Sherlock 13 is a deduction game for 2 to 4 players, and it plays in about 15 minutes, as the box says. I believe it. I played it. It definitely plays in about 15 minutes, making it, for me, pretty much the perfect filler time. I love a 10 or 15 minute game for a filler at the beginning of game night. And this game, I think, is the best deduction game I've ever played. Obviously, I'm not here to review it. I'm here to talk about a game mechanism. But it's almost tough to do that for this game because it is so streamlined. On your turn, you are doing one of 3 things, and they're all on this little shield that you have. You are either asking all other players to raise their hand if one of the character cards they have has one of the different icons. You can see a bunch of icons up here. You can do that. The second thing you can do is you can ask a specific player to tell you how many icons they have in all of their character cards. And the last thing you can do is guess who the culprit is. And in the game, there are 13 cards that have these little icons on them. So here's a card has these icons. Some icons are rarer than others, and at the beginning of the game you shuffle all these up, you deal them out equally to all players, and then you put one card secretly in the middle of the table, and no one knows what it is, and that's the culprit. That's the one you're trying to figure out. And you do this, this is so streamlined. There are no rules, not to knock on Clue, because I know Clue is a beloved game, and I enjoyed it as a kid. But there are no other rules to this. You're not moving around. You don't have to decide what room you're in to predict anything. It's just pure deduction, just distilled down into the purity of what deduction can be. Everybody has one of these pads to kind of keep track of the information. And the thing that I found that's really interesting about this pad of paper is that as you track information, every little bit of information is important. So not just like the information that you hear from other players. So if the player next to me asks everyone, "Hey, how many light bulbs do you have?" Or raise your hand if anyone has a light bulb, and so we'll all raise our hands. And so you mark that down on the paper. You mark down, okay, well, I saw 2 people raise their hands, but you don't know the person that asked that question. You don't know why they were asking it. Were they asking it because they have a light bulb, because they have all the light bulbs, because they have no light bulbs? You don't know that. And so you're almost trying to, as you track information, you're trying to infer not only like what the information is that you know, but also who asked those questions and why they asked them. So it's this deeper level, even though it's so streamlined, it's this deeper level of deducing why everyone is asking these questions and why they're asking them at this time. I also really love, and this is just a slight thing they did that I thought was really clever, not all symbols are created equal. So there are 5 of the pipes, so there are 5 characters with pipes on them. You can see all the characters listed down here. 5 characters with pipes. But there are fewer characters over here with, say, skulls. There are only 3 with skulls. So that little touch actually makes it a lot not easier, but it allows you to focus a little bit. Because say I have 2 of the characters that have skulls in my hand, so I know there's only one more out there, and so with a single question, I can figure out exactly who has that character. I can say, okay, raise your hand if you have skulls, and if one person raises their hand, I not only know they have skulls, but I know the exact character they have. Or if no one raises their hand, then I know right away who the culprit is, which is really exciting too. I'm amazed at how good this game is, at how good of a deduction game this game is, and how good of a filler it is. Because I think with any filler, you have to be able to teach it in a minute at most. It has to be so distilled that you can start playing right away and play for a few minutes, and then when everyone arrives at your game night, then you play the big game that you plan to play that night. So I don't know. I didn't mean for this to turn into a review of this game, but I really enjoyed it, and I like how streamlined the deduction mechanism is, but how many layers there are to that mechanism. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've played Sherlock 13, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you have a favorite deduction game, I'd love to hear why you love that deduction element of that game and what that mechanism is in that game. Thanks.